Hello, and welcome to the Perfect Franchise Podcast.
I'm Kris, and joining me is my wonderful co-host, Andrea.
In this podcast, we're on a mission to help you discover all that franchising has to offer.
We'll explore expert strategies, interview successful franchise owners, and give you the tools to make informed decisions.
So whether you're considering your options or you're ready to take that plunge, we're here to support you every step of the way.
So let's jump into today's episode. Hi, and welcome back to the Perfect Franchise Podcast. Today we have Courtney Yeager, founder of the Tox franchise. Courtney, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
We're excited. So let's just jump right in. What exactly is the Tox, and what exactly do you do?
Sure. So the Tox is a lymphatic-based body sculpting service. So it's a body sculpting service that has elements to it that work with your digestive system and lymphatic system. So it's really great to rid your body of excess water retention and toxins. And of course, the body sculpting element is really great for aesthetic benefits. So you get both. You get the best of both. You look good, you feel good. It reshapes your body in a 60-minute session, and your body starts working the way that it's supposed to.
So dive into that a little more. And I'm a pharmacist, so I know a little bit about this, but help me, Courtney, understand, exactly when you tell them drainage and how does this work?
So think of it as like the treatment will feel very similar to a massage in the sense that you are like laying on a massage table, you're undressing. It is manual strokes, but every stroke has an intention behind it. So every stroke will work in the same way that your lymphatic system routes, but it is a body sculpting technique that really helps move any fluid that you're holding on to towards your lymph nodes to then be disposed. And of course, your lymphatic system is part of your immune system. So it's really great for just boosting immunity, releasing toxins, and all the good stuff.
That's great. So tell us about the origin story. So how did you come up with this and find this business?
So, take you back to 2019. I have always been like a serial entrepreneur. I've had many different companies, mostly around like health, wellness, and fitness. I was a fitness franchisee, so I got to see the other side of it and be, a franchisee of that company. From there, I saw a gap in the market for sticky socks and branding them in a way that fitness studios can, really vamp up their marketing. So that was a crazy successful company. It got me into private label manufacturing for franchisors and franchise companies. So it's always kind of been like around the franchise model. But I was very overworked, unfulfilled, and I've always suffered from like poor digestion. I've always felt, and I feel like any woman can relate to this, like always felt bloated, always felt like, oh, I'm holding on to so much. My digestion's terrible. And I just wasn't feeling my best. I have 2 young children, and I was just working a ton, not feeling good. I started doing a lot of research just around the lymphatic system. I've always taken a holistic route to everything. Every approach in my life has been, how do I be as healthy as possible and as natural as possible? So, with much research, I just discovered that these treatments were being done in other countries like Brazil, Colombia, Europe, but nobody was really offering it in the US. And at that time, we were living in Los Angeles, and I had the marketing experience from my previous companies around like influencer marketing and just branding in general. So when I started to seek out these treatments, I found a bunch of people who were doing different variations of body sculpting, lymphatic drainage, digestive massage, but never really curating it together as one treatment and branding it and marketing it. So from there, I hired mentors to really help me curate the technique and put it together. Everybody that knew me was like, "What are you doing? This isn't, the wheelhouse that you're in. Like, stick to what you're great at." But I just knew that this was a treatment that should be readily available everywhere. I started to feel better. I started to look better. Again, we were in LA, where it's the capital of aesthetics and everybody cares about how they look. So I worked on curating the technique, and I opened the Tox LA in 2019. And right away, it was every celebrity in our DMs on Instagram. Like, I want to come in. I need this. How do I get an appointment? So, I mean, long story short, we just knew that we were onto something, and location requests started coming in for everywhere. And we just expanded upon, the first store.
That's
Excellent.
great.
So
What a great
when did you start franchising?
I registered to franchise in 2021. I knew that I couldn't personally do all of the locations on my own. I have 12 corporate locations, and that's pretty aggressive in a 5-year time span.
Mhm.
So we kept seeing all the requests coming in. So I was like, let's try it. I want to take it really slow. I want one franchisee where I can just dive into what that relationship is like, how to set up the infrastructure to make sure that we can scale it responsibly. So we signed one in 2021. And then, I learned a lot. I learned, all about being a franchisor and the infrastructure that it's going to take to be able to scale this company. And then we signed with Franchise Fastlane in July of last year. So we're about a year and a half in, and that's our franchise story.
Okay.
That's great.
Andrea, do you mind if I sneak in another
Yeah,
question?
go
Because
ahead.
I got to get caught up here. So everything you're saying to me makes sense as far as, because I'm getting old, so I have problems, and the idea of lymphatic manipulation, digestive massage, I can imagine it feels really good. I could imagine that I would feel a lot better getting that. But if I'm understanding you right, you're actually also saying that in addition to all that, I or any customer would look different, like the body sculpting are actually be changes in the way I appear. And is that over 50 sessions, or is that in one session? What's that about?
So in one 60-minute session, and of course everybody's so different, so I don't want to sit here and guarantee that that's going to be everybody's story, but I would say 95% of clients see that immediate aesthetic result in one session. So we do take before and after photos during your session, and you'll be able to see that visible difference of loss of water retention and inflammation. And that can be, either your abdomen, or we see it in a lot of athletes, like their knees just instantly lose that water retention and inflammation that they're holding on to. So yes, you do look better as well as feel better.
Wow.
That's interesting. So there's so many other body and wellness type concepts out there. So where do you sort of fit in? Are you a supplement to some of these other things that we see, different kind of cold and hot therapies and different things, or is this completely separate?
It's completely separate. There's really nothing that you can compare the tox technique to. Everybody asks that question. They're like, is it like sauna, chirotherapy? Like, what is it? And it's a market of its own. It's replacing the normal massage with a treatment that does feel wonderful, but also, makes you feel better afterwards. So it's not just like you're going in for a body treatment. You feel good during that 60 minutes. You are actually feeling the benefits for days, weeks, months after.
That's
Wow.
great.
So let's talk about that for a minute. So you're really creating, at least within the franchise world, a new niche, right? There is no direct competitor, and like you saying, it's really different than anything that's else is out there. Um, I know from my own experience that when you when you're in a new industry, right, that you're creating, um, it can sound great on the surface because there's no competition. Everybody loves that, but it means that you're having to do a lot of education. You're literally blazing the trail, right? So, what's that like? What's it like for not only you over the last 5 years, but for your franchisees? And how do you help them? Because I would imagine customers can't just see your marketing and go like, "Oh yeah, I want that." Customers see your marketing and they go, "I want to learn more about that." Like, so how do you help franchisees bridge the gap when they open up a new market?
Education is everything. We are the leaders in this market. So it comes down to training their staff. And I am so particular about the way that these conversations are being had, because it is a technique that I created, and it has to be, fully explained from start to finish. So training is a massive part of it, and it starts day one. And I would say even through their discovery process, I really want our franchisees to understand exactly what we do and love and have that passion behind it, and like really embody everything that the Talks culture stands for. So we absolutely are offering ongoing training, not only with our franchisees, but with our staff too, just to make sure that their verbiage, their etiquette, their everything embodies the same as, myself and my staff.
That's great. So, Courtney, hit on that. You mentioned the franchisees. So, tell me a little bit more about that. Who's sort of your ideal candidate? Is it somebody who already has a health and wellness background and they're interested in this, or who's that ideal person?
I think it leads with passion. I get asked this question all the time, like, who do you want? Who's your ideal candidate? And I want to see that passion for health, wellness, fitness, just like the industry that we're in, of course. I do want owners who are present in their location for at least 4 to 6 months and really dive into it. And I say that because, having 12 corporate locations, I see the difference within my locations that I'm present in. I just have really great culture and staff, and they great employee retention, all of those things that really encompass like a great studio versus the ones that I don't have time for. So when I'm looking at our franchise candidates, I'm looking for, are they going to keep their full-time job? And this is just something that they want on the side to make money. That's not who I'm looking for. Like I want somebody who's going to replace their, every day with being present in the studio, at least for the first 4 to 6 months. And then, of course, we have a ton of multi unit owners coming in. So, having realistic expectations about what that looks like for their growth strategy.
Yeah, that's great. So they have to sort of be in I'm hearing, and I don't know if you heard that, Kris. So not semi-absentee to start doesn't mean they can't get there, right? But really being ingrained within the business to get it off the ground is important.
Yes. And we do have a lot of couples coming into where, the husband will stay at his job while the wife comes into the talks, and then they plan on doing it that way. But I just think it's so important and crucial to any brick and mortar franchise to have an owner that is present and really like dives into every aspect of the business.
Yeah.
So, who do you hire for your employees? Who's actually doing the work, the massage or manipulation? I'm not, or the technique, the tox technique. And what kind of credentials do they have to have? How do you find them? Talk to me about that.
Every state's different with the regulations that you have, primarily because it is considered body sculpting. You can hire estheticians, but of course, some states, will require different licenses. So your franchisee would have to check in and verify all of that. For my corporate locations, I've been able to primarily hire estheticians. And, because it is something so different, we have a wait list in a lot of our locations of estheticians who want to work for the talks because it's something new, innovative. They're not just sitting there in a chair all day performing the same facial. They're really getting that results driven service on many levels, and that's what they want to do. So we assist our franchisees with, of course, job templates. We have a careers page coming onto our website. We also partner with a lot of the local aesthetic schools. So there's different strategies to assist our franchisees when it comes to hiring. And then we always recommend having like one or two front of the house managers or assistant managers to work on the marketing, the sales, and the client experience.
That's great. So, Courtney, you hit on it being brick and mortar location. That makes sense. Obviously, you have to build something where people come. Those require sort of a longer ramp up time, higher capital. How at the talks are you helping people and supporting owners find those locations, get them up and running quicker?
Sure. So our build out is really minimal. And I had this in mind as we began to really, duplicate our LA studio and build out our corporate locations. There are no walls being built in our locations. All of our treatment rooms are separated by floor to ceiling velvet curtains. So it's a very, very minimal build out. So we're looking for like second generation or vanilla shell, easy, open, rectangular space where we can just go in. It's polished concrete flooring and velvet curtains. So we're definitely helping them achieve that low buy-in when it comes to, leasing their space. I mean, again, 12 corporate locations, we know what to look for. So we are so involved in the real estate process. Every single day, we're working out floor plans, helping them with negotiations. So super hands on. And that's something that my husband and I, because we have so much experience with it, have taken on with every franchisee in the system.
That's great.
So talk a little bit about the revenue model, because my guess is I'm getting the impression, again, if I'm the customer, I go in one time, I feel amazing. You're telling me I'm going to look different. Sounds awesome. So if I have that kind of experience, I'm hooked, right? Um, so what's the revenue model look like? How often should I come back? Is it a membership or subscription model? Uh, does the frequency dissipate over time if I'm feeling better and better and better? Talk to me.
So everybody's so different. I would say the standard recommendation is every 2 weeks for the first, let's say, 4 to 5 sessions. And then from there, it's really maintenance. They're coming in once a month. I can say most of the clients, once they're hooked and they come in for 5+ sessions, they're like, I don't want to only come in once a month. I want to come in as often as I can. As far as revenue model, we do have a founding membership, and that is an exclusive window of opportunity where we pre sale 100 founding members. From there, we close the membership and we are driven by our bundle and session packages. So they have to purchase that 3 or 5 pack session to be able to get any sort of discount. And that's how we've been doing it since day one, and our clients are used to it. They love it. And of course, if they want to buy a single session, they can, but it's definitely more on the pricier side.
Okay. Okay.
Got it. So there's some recurring revenue there, but they're doing it more in a session packet versus,
Yep.
membership based. And how often are you seeing people come back and get more sessions after they run out? Is that, people
All
are
the
loving it
time.
and yeah.
Oh, yeah. We have a 63% client retention rate, which is really massive in this industry. So our clients are hooked on the talks. And anytime that they're like, oh, we heard so and so is doing lymphatic body sculpting, I'm going to go try it out. I'm like, you definitely should go try it out. 10 out of 10, they come back and they're like, oh my gosh, why did I waste my money? The talks is really the best and where I belong. So we're super huge on community and just making our clients feel really special.
So you hit on it a little bit with Kris, where some of the challenges of the first to market is some of the education pieces. What other challenge you have? So it sounds like there are people that are pop up, maybe smaller businesses that start to add this as a supplement. How do you kind of, help yourself in that competition and have an advantage there, even though you're kind of first to market with this as a full business?
Yeah, nobody's doing what we're doing on the scale that we're doing it on. So again, I encourage it. I think competition's really healthy. It only makes like more awareness around lymphatic based treatments. So I think it's great to have that competition. I will always say this. Do you want to go to a spa that has it on their menu, one of 50 other services that they're offering, and their technicians are maybe doing it once a week, twice a week, where our technicians are performing the same exact technique 5, 6 times a day, 4 or 5 days a week? This is what they are the masters at. And it really shows in the level of service and education that they are providing to our clients.
Okay. You touched on this a little bit earlier, but I want to circle back to marketing and how you get clients. So you were a marketing expert before the talks, and it seems to me like a very cool business that would be great for social media and things. But if I'm an owner of the talks, a franchise owner, how much do I have to be out in the community? How much am I trying to build referral relationships? If I'm doing that at all, who am I building those relationships with? Talk to me about that side of things.
So we've grown on the corporate side 100% off of organic influencer marketing. So we haven't had any dollars spent towards marketing. It's all been in exchange for services. With that said, I think that the community piece is huge, and it has to happen in new markets with our franchisees. If we've been able to do what we've been able to do with zero marketing, imagine what they're going to be able to do with us running their social media, doing that piece for them, but also getting out there in their community. And exactly what you said, doing the referral programs, any community events, hair salons, nail salons, lash places, collaborate with people who have the same exact client as you. And fitness studios are huge. There's just so many different avenues for them to really capitalize on parts that we just haven't gotten an opportunity to yet.
Very
Yeah, it's
interesting.
great. I think that's
Andrea?
fascinating, right? Having a business where
Yeah.
you're doing it all via social media, really, and then some of the ground game there. That's great. So, Courtney, we like to kind of wrap up these sessions by asking questions that really don't have anything to do with the talks. It's more to support our franchisees, and so they're kind of rapid fire questions. And so, the first one I want to ask you is, what's one thing you would tell somebody contemplating becoming a franchisee of any franchise?
I think that they have to realize that it is their business. Like a franchisor can absolutely give you the guidance. The blueprint is there, but at the end of the day, it is their own business and they have to be ready to work for it. They can't just expect that they're going to open their doors. Franchisors are going to do everything. It's a hustle and they have to be ready for it.
No, that's great. I mean, it's important. People come into it thinking, oh, the franchisor is going to do the work. Not true. It's your business. Okay, so what's one thing that you tell a new franchisee in their first year of business?
Because it's hard.
I know.
When you're all excited, then you get in that first year and it's not all roses and sunshine. There's times when you go, what have I done? What have I
Yeah.
gotten myself into? I'm sure it doesn't
Yeah.
happen to folks that buy the talks, but any
Well,
other franchise, right?
of
Um,
course.
yeah.
I think it's important to not compare your journey to other people. Like everybody's journey is going to be different. And I hear it all day, every day. Like, oh, so and so signed at the same time as me and they're already opening. And I'm like, every market is so different. Your real estate journey is different. Like, don't compare yourself. Just stay on track, stay focused, lean on the franchisor, listen to our guidance, and we'll get you there. But just, stay focused.
That's great. Great advice. Courtney, thanks so much for being on. I mean, this is one where, it's not familiar to anyone. And so you're definitely in that cutting edge space, being in sort of the body sculpting and the lymphatic drainage, sort of more in the wellness and body space. It's really a unique area. And I think it's going to really appeal to a lot of people. So thanks so much for coming on today. So if you're thinking about franchising, remember that there's no one size fits all to franchising. Although there's probably the perfect franchise out there for you. To explore your options, visit theperfectfranchise.com by clicking on Let's Talk to schedule a call with one of the consultants on the Perfect Franchise team. We look forward to connecting with you on the next episode.